Okay, we're back. Actually ended up being able to put down 2 coats of the Nano-Seal gloss. And I'll try and just pan around a little bit. You can see it's fairly shiny. Helps the color pop a little bit more, I think. Other thing I'll do is I'll see if I can focus in on a spot where I don't get a lot of light. And just to kind of show you what happens when I get a little bit of water on the floor. And we'll zoom this in a little bit. So let's see here. Pour some water on the floor. And you can see it just puddles. It's not absorbing into anything. So it's a pretty hard surface. You can't scratch it with your finger or anything. Shouldn't have a lot of wear capability. Get anything spilled on the floor, it'd be easy to clean up. I just wanted to show you how easily it beads up when you get some liquid on the floor. But I think the floor overall turned out very nice. I'm very happy with it. We'll zoom back out here. And I'm just going to now do kind of a quick review of my thoughts and what we come up with. Let's see my back end. Alright, first off I'd like to make one correction. Whenever I was doing the coloring on the floor, I kept calling it Trinic color. They actually, the name for their coloring that they have is called Versacolor. So I wanted to make sure I made that correction. So real quickly, I'll just do some pros and cons and things maybe I do different and what I think of the end results. First off, we'll just quickly go through pros. This stuff is so very easy to use from the standpoint that there's not a lot of work involved in prepping it, getting it ready, but you do have to be very prepared. The Agri-Rok itself, you open the buckets, measure out the water. You have to be pretty precise with that, but simply add the water, mix it up, dump it down, spread it out. It's almost like a SCC self-consolidating. You saw from the first bucket that I poured down, it kind of just flowed right out. Use a gauge rake, rubber trowel, you can get a finish as good as what I got here without doing any additional work. And again, I have some blemishes, but I'm going to blame most of that on me. The Versacolor, again, was very easy to use. Simply mix up a certain amount of the LS lockup with a certain amount of the color. You just use both liquid, mix it together, real quick and easy. You can do like I did, do a faux pas, do different colors and so forth, or you can do a single color if you want. You can apply it with, if you're just going to do a single color, you can use a roller and put it down. You can use a sprayer and put it down. You can use a brush if you want to and put it down. So very, very easy to use. The Nano-Seal, again, also very easy to use. Your first coat to get better coverage, because the first coat really gets drawn into the Agri-Rok overlay. So I went through a bit more of that product on the first run, and again, I wanted to have gloss. I screwed up my order and got Nano-Seal matte for the first one, but I went ahead and got some more gloss and put down, and I like the way it turned out. The second coat went down, real light spray, microfiber mop, spread out real nice, no problems. I had enough to go back over it a second time. So again, very easy to use. Again, it's water based, you just mix water with it. You could also use I'm trying to think of if you want it to flash off real quickly, the Nano-Seal, you can use acetone, but you're going to have to get a sprayer that is qualified for using with acids. And they do have one that they recommend for sprayers, has a ceramic nozzle and so forth. So you know, from the pros standpoint, basically everything very, very easy to use. The only thing I'll say on cons, and I don't really want to call them cons, it's just that just things for people to be aware of. You need to work very quickly. So you really want to plan everything out, have everything ready, especially when you're putting the overlay down. Even though I had the slow setting, it gets to the point fairly quickly that it becomes more difficult to spread out if you want to readjust it. So I can imagine that the fast setting is very, very quick. So you make sure that you have everything planned out. And again, that's basically is just have all your bucket lids open, have enough water supply that you can quickly measure out your water, get it in there, get it mixed as quickly as possible. And again, I did this with 2 people, myself and one of my sons, and probably would have been better off if I had at least one more person, a third person, to kind of get the water measured out and pour it in while one person mixes. And then that person can also then carry the buckets in so that the person that's doing the leveling and floating and so forth can just concentrate on that. So it was pretty quick. It only took a little over an hour for us to do this entire floor. So it doesn't take long, but it is handy to have a few more people. A 4th person probably would have been even better too, but I would recommend at least 3 to do this size garage. And this garage is 25 foot by 11 feet 4 inches, so a standard single car garage. I would use at least 3, maybe 4 people. Anything bigger than that, multiply by the space that you have. You might even have to have 2 people mixing, 2 people carrying, 2 people leveling and smoothing. So there was I found a little bit difficult to mix the batches at first. I mean, you got 50 pounds in a 5-gallon bucket, and you're only putting 6 pounds of water in. Even though I had the double head mixer, which, by the way, I would recommend if you want to use the Agri-Rok, don't use anything but a double head mixer, because it's going to start setting on you probably before you even get it to the floor, trying to do it with a single mixer. But the only thing I would say is to, you know, I probably should have spent more time on that mixing side and made sure more of it got incorporated, and then I probably wouldn't have had the issues of some of the nodules of material that hadn't been hydrated with water. Excuse me, I'm trying to think of the words. Things that I would do, so that's basically the only things I would consider a con, is you really have to be planned and you got to work quickly. Things I would have done differently, if I had a chance to do it over again, having had this experience, had this experience of doing this the first time. And again, I've never done this before. I've never put down an overlay. I've never painted an overlay. I've never sealed an overlay. So this is all brand new to me. I definitely would have had more people. I would have had at least a 3rd person, if not a 4th person, to help out. Would have spent a little bit more time mixing the buckets to make sure that everything was fully incorporated. There was one bucket my son mixed that poured out, and the bottom still hadn't been hydrated, so I had to kind of quickly scrape it out, get it mixed in with the rest of it that was already on the floor, so it got hydrated, and then take the trowel and try to smooth it out real quick. So some of those things you didn't see, but you know, you got to make sure it gets mixed properly. I probably should have had the mixer set for a higher speed, but definitely you want to use the dual head mixer systems. The other issue that I had was with some of the bug holes and so forth. I probably should have, this end of the course of the garage was the worst for having not a smooth surface. I should have done a skim coat. I should have took 1 bucket at least, poured out here, took a broom and spread it out real thin just to cover it, and then allow that to start setting, not set up, but start setting, so that it has a chance to be the base so that it doesn't allow the moisture from the top coat then to seep down through into the pores of the concrete and suck the water out, and that's what causes those little round bug holes. So I should have done a skim coat. The other thing I would have done differently if I had the chance to do it again, which I might, there are some other things I think I might try and use this on, is I would have come back in after it started setting, and I probably would have used a pull trowel and did a bit of a hard trowel to kind of smooth out. I probably could have fixed some of those bug holes then. I probably could have fixed some of those nodules that hadn't been hydrated. I probably could have done that if I come back on it when it was set enough that I didn't sink into it, and then did a hard trowel and just, you know, threw some moisture on and took a pull trowel and smoothed it out a little bit better. So I got some waviness in the floor, but you know, I'm very pleased with what I have here. Again, so those are the things that I would have done differently. End results, I like the colors. I really like the way this turned out. I think it really enhances the area. There's a bit more than what was necessary for a shop, but I look at it this way: if I ever get a chance to build an additional building and actually turn it into a shop, this is kind of already set up with the paneling and so forth, and this floor that we could turn this back into a living space if we wanted to. So that was kind of my intent and why I went to this extreme. I wanted it to look nice, if that was a future potential for this area. Plus, it's just nice to work in here. Once we get things up and going, it's going to be very comfortable, very warm feeling in here to work. So the other thing is with this surface now, basically being, you know, pretty much smooth, good sealer on there, good hard sealer that's on here. It's going to be very easy to clean, like I did with a little bit of water right there. If I get some spills on it, it's easy to clean up. You can run a wet mop on here. You can run a dry mop on here. You can easily use a vacuum cleaner if you just have some dust that you want to clean up, and you don't have all the little crevices and everything that dirt gets into. It's going to be very, 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 very easy to clean. The other thing too is over time, walking on it, things will wear. If I see spots that start to wear a little bit, I can just throw a little bit more Nano-Seal down on it, seal it right back up again. It's not a problem, really easy to do. And again, the smooth surface is going to make it a lot easier to move stuff around. This shop vac right here, I used to have to drag it along behind me on the rough surface of the concrete floor that was in here. Now it's just like slides real easy. So moving equipment and so forth will be very easy, especially if I put casters on it, things like that. So end results, I'm very pleased with how it turned out for what I want to use this space for and potentially what we want to use it for the future. So I hope that those that are watching found these videos, I know they may not have been more as intuitive as you may have liked them to be as to the steps. I would have liked to have done more shots of putting the Agri-Rok down, but after I put the first couple of buckets down, I found out I'm not going to have time, and I didn't have a third person here or even a fourth person in the video, and we just did not have time to stop and do any. So again, I appreciate you watching. The next step in the series is going to be working on electricals. First thing I'm going to do is get all these electrical boxes for these recessed lights hooked up, get that circuitry all done, put in the switches so that I can get some decent lighting here. And then we'll start working on some of the wiring I'm going to require for the equipment that's going to come in. The first one, of course, being the CRP 48 CNC router that we built a couple years ago. So if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to continue on watching what we do as we go, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone for watching.